The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of its hosts, guests, or callers, and do not necessarily represent the opinions of WTBR-FM, its management, other producers, or sponsors.
Happy New Year, Happy New Water. You're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O. Super psyched to be with you this first show of 2025.
In the abundance of water.
Straight from Pittsfield Community Radio, 89.7 WTBR-FM. Pittsfield, 88.1 WSBR in Lee. So we are all over the county now as radio goes, but also all around the world as a podcast. Super psyched to be with you. I am your Super Waterman, Ambassador for Water. Today we're going to have a great guest, James McGrath. We're going to talk about blue spaces and bringing people back to the water in this lovely Berkshire region called Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Super psyched to be with you. We got a water-loving show today. Gonna actually have a little bit of really cool news. There's a little blast from the past. We got the Standing Rock song from the, the Standing Rock protest. This is called Loving the Water.
I love water.
I love water.
You love water.
You love water.
We love water.
We love water.
Yeah!
Yeah.
They have been doing this all over, oppressing people with the power of their armed weapon. So we step in with the deeper power. One love, Standing Rock, worldwide water protectors. They are down there in the Amazon, and now we know what's going on. And they are over there at Standing Rock, so we are gonna put the stop to the destruction of our sacred lands. All people uniting hands, no longer will we cower in fear, 'cause our mission is clear. They have been doing this all over, oppressing people with the power of their armed weapons. So we step in with the deeper power. Loving the water in our hearts. We love the water in the hearts of the National Guards who are paid to do violent deeds. We love the water in the hearts of our brothers and sisters who work for the police. hearts united to protect the lifeline of Mama Gaia. Feel the fire lit inside our eyes. We rise as one tribe in these critical times. While armed police spit tear gas in our mama's eyes, I face the east and I pray with the sunrise. That great spirit touches our hearts and our lives with love, compassion, and peace. We call upon the power of the tallest mountain peaks, all the living waters and the mighty thunder beams, the buffalo, eagle, sacred pipe, and holy wings. All of our ancestors and the lineage of trees, sitting bull, fools crow, black elk speaks. Gandhi, Selassie, and Martin Luther King. Aboriginal, indigenous grandmas sing prayers for the future and true remembering that yes, we are connected to every living thing. Blessings to the hearts of every single human being down in the Amazon and Standing Rock and all across the globe. To know we are water. See, I am a water.
You are water.
We are water, yeah. I love water.
You love water.
We love water, yeah. So we are doing this all over. Loving the water. And we are doing this all over. Loving the sacred water. See, I am water. You are water. We are water, yeah. I love water. You love water. We love water, yeah. Oh, no, no, no. I am water. You are water. We are water, yeah. See, I love water. You love water. We love water, yeah.
That's a little blast from the past. For all the children, we stand united in the power of peace and love and prayer with Standing Rock and the legacy of Standing Rock. There's so much that came out of that. We're going to have a future program just about that subject matter. But I figured, why not have a song that kind of reminds us of what the game is? And that's, protecting being alive on this planet. There's so much in the last 4 years that we've focused on things that have had a deleterious effect on the human spirit. And what does it take to regenerate our life, free our mitochondria, so to speak? Have ourselves, we don't have to be dancing in the streets per se, but allow ourselves to come back to a space where we feel engaged in being alive. Because we really do know how to die, but do we actually know how to live? You're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O. Got another tune coming your way, and this is from Juice WRLD, and their song is Titanic. You're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O here at WTBR.
Abandoning all ships, it's about to go down on Titanic. There's a lot going on in my head right now, but I manage. Good heart, good soul, both been in bad hands. I could deal damage, real damage. Both hands in the air as I scream out prayers. My demons show their face in the midnight air. Just got a new house, gotta hide the skeletons in the closet and keep them there, really trying to forget about them. They tell me God watching over me, I don't doubt, but I can see I'm getting tired of me sinning and wildin'. Don't know what to do with myself these days. Young rich, I done fell in love with the pain. But all this money don't rid me of my pain. But everywhere I go, I can make it precipitate rain. Up, I did. Up, I am. Calm down, I can't. Here we go again. Abandoning all ships, it's about to go down on Titanic. Titanic. There's a lot going on in my head right now, but I manage. Good heart, good soul, both been in bad hands. I could deal damage, real damage. Both hands in the air as I scream out prayers. My demons show their face in the midnight air. Set sail in the bottle, I'ma drown in it, drown in it. It fills me up, but whatever goes up goes down in it, down in it. At the end of the day, I'm blessed, oh yes. Crack a smile with it, smile with it. Now I'm frowning again, life goes so fast, watch it blow in the wind. Can't get time back, I've been begging for it. Up, I did, how f***ed up I am. Here we go again. Abandoning all ships, it's about to go down, no Titanic. There's a lot going on in my head right now, but I manage. Good heart, good soul, both been in bad hands. I could deal damage, real damage. Both hands in the air as I scream out prayers. My demons show their face in the midnight air. Midnight air, midnight air, midnight air. I'ma drown in here. Midnight air, surrounded in the midnight air. I'm drowning in the Titanic, Titanic.
Waste time with the masterpiece. You should be rolling me. You should be rolling me. You're a real life fantasy. You're a real life fantasy. But you're moving so carefully. Let's start living dangerously. Talk to me, baby. I'm going up on this sweet, sweet baby. Whoa. Let's lose our minds and go crazy, crazy. Keep on hoping we'll be cake by the ocean. Walk for me, baby. I'll be pretty, you'll be Naomi. Whoa. Let's lose our minds and go crazy, crazy. Keep on hoping we'll be cake by the ocean. Hot damn. See you licking frosting from your own hands. Want another taste? I'm begging, yes, man. I'm tired of all this candy on the dry land, dry land. Oh. Waste time with the masterpiece, to waste time with the masterpiece. You should be rolling me, you should be rolling me. You're a real life fantasy, you're a real life fantasy. But you're moving so carefully, let's start living dangerously. Talk to me, baby. I'm rolling up on this sweet, sweet baby. Whoa. Let's lose our minds and go crazy, crazy. Keep on hoping we'll be cake by the ocean. Walk for me, baby. Walk for me now. I'll be pretty, you'll be Naomi. Whoa. Let's lose our minds and go crazy, crazy. Keep on hoping we'll be cake by the ocean.
Welcome to 2025, my water-loving friends around the world. This is your Super Waterman Ambassador for Water here at And So It Flows, your only show for H2O. Check us out on most of your podcast platforms all around the world. We're here now at WTBR and WSBR, and we are now more wider ranging in the world of, if you're listening on your radio dial, 89.7 WTBR-FM Pittsfield and 88.1 in WSBR in Lee. So check us out if you're driving around. You could hear us in most parts of the county now, or most parts of Central and South County. You could hear us a podcast on most of your major platforms, and is so psyched to be here, the first bit of the new year. Happy New Year and Happy New Water, and that's the name of our game today and through the year, is to how do we relate to water? Don't really know, because there's a lot of stuff coming on. Everybody knows about R.F. Kennedy Jr. coming out and might be the new secretary of HHS. But there was a study conducted, I believe, by HHS that just came out today. And this is on NBC News. So thanks, NBC News, for doing a little bit of journalism every now and then. We got this little piece on fluoride. It just came out today. Fluoride once again scrutinized for possible effects on children's brains. Ooh, sounds pretty intense. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh. Why are we listening to that music when we should be listening to something else? Ooh. We got to back up this fluoride thing here. Hold on. We'll back up that fluoride thing and we'll go back at it.
Questions about whether fluoride in drinking water is doing more harm than good. A report published today in JAMA Pediatrics concludes there is a statistically significant association between higher fluoride exposure and lower IQ scores in children. The study, funded by the National Institutes of Health, analyzed existing research conducted outside the United States. The lead author telling NBC News there is concern that pregnant women and children are getting fluoride from many sources, including drinking water, and that their total fluoride exposure is too high. The research is being criticized by many in the public health community. 52 of the 74 studies it looked at are rated low quality, according to the authors themselves. The conclusions based on fluoride levels more than double what's recommended for drinking water in the U.S.
The ongoing benefits of community water fluoridation at this time strongly outweigh the flawed analyses that are presented in this paper that's just being published.
Superior fluoride toothpaste.
Fluoride has been added to U.S. drinking water since the 40s. More than 70% of Americans get it in their taps. The CDC, American Dental Association, and American Academy of Pediatrics support fluoridating water, citing studies it reduces tooth decay by 25%.
Cavities can obviously cause pain and suffering. People can get very bad infections. Also, many people miss time from school, from work.
The issue is getting growing attention because of new research and recent public comments by RFK Jr., Donald Trump's choice to lead HHS, who wrote on social media, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water. In an editorial in JAMA Pediatrics, Dr. Bruce Lamphere says today's study shows it is time to reassess fluoride in drinking water.
The conclusions are sufficient to raise serious questions about fluoride's toxicity to the developing brain. That means we need to pause. We need to give ourselves a chance to look at this evidence fresh.
Stephanie, these studies were all done outside the U.S. Is there anything being studied currently in the U.S.?
Yeah, there is. Researchers at UNC Chapel Hill are studying babies, some who are drinking fluoridated water, some who are not. They're going to track their development for 4 years, Lester.
Oh.
More American.
It's a little bit of an interesting take on fluoride. And again, you're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O. We have a little bit of a history in the city of Pittsfield of either being a stop or being one of the locations of the Underground Railroad. And out of that, I just want to throw a little bit of love to the culture space with Langston Hughes reading The Negro Speaks of Rivers, one of his earlier poems. And here's a little bit on that.
This is The Negro Speaks of Rivers, one of my earliest poems written in 1920, just after I came out of high school. The way this poem came to be written was that I was going to Mexico to visit my father, who lived in Mexico City, and on the train going across the Mississippi River, just outside St. Louis, I looked out the window and I saw this great muddy river flowing down toward the heart of the South, and I began to think about what this river meant to the Negro people, how, in a sense, our history was linked to this river, how in slavery time my grandmother told me that to be sold down the Mississippi was one of the worst things that could happen to a Negro slave. And then I remembered that I'd read about Abraham Lincoln going down the Mississippi as a young man, and he went on a raft to New Orleans, and he saw human beings bought and sold in the slave market there, and he was so horrified by this that he never forgot it. And many years later, of course, we know that it was Lincoln who signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And so, as the train went on into the gathering dusk, because it had been about sunset when we crossed the river, I took my father's letter out of my pocket and began to write down on the back of his letter this poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers.
Circling the surface, just treading water. Always dipping one toe in, but I don't go farther. No visions of Atlantis, I won't risk my safe and sound. You know the shoreline is my lifeline, where I'm sure I'm never gonna drown. But suddenly he's pulling me way down below the surface. No deep breath in, but down I swim, and I'm not even nervous. It's his eyes, they tell me what I'm thinking. Then he smiles, and I'm sinking deeper. and the waves wash over me. And I hear my own voice saying to take me deeper, like a drop in the ocean, into peace and devotion, till my heart rushes open and he's in my blood. Into the salt and the fire, I never knew this desire. Oh, but once I'm a diver, I won't come back up. How far can I go? How deep is this soul? I didn't know until this. Somehow you let me breathe into the weight that I'm underneath. This could be the time I finally go deeper, deeper, deeper. Deeper, like a drop in the ocean, into peace and devotion, till my heart rushes open and he's in my blood. Into the salt and the fire, I never knew this desire. Take me down, take me higher, make it feel like
You're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O. That was Deeper by Cassandra Kubinski, who actually happens to be a close personal friend. She's got a really great series of albums. That is from the Deeper album. Before that, we had a little Cake by the Ocean, a little bit of decadence going on, and then Titanic dealing with, are we sinking? But I say no, because we're floating on the water. We're walking on the water here at WTBR, Pittsfield Community Radio, and So It Flows, your only show for H2O. Super psyched to have in studio the one and only James McGrath. James, why don't you say hi to our water-loving listeners around the world?
Hey, Leslie. Hey, everyone. Happy to be here today.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what's going on. What's your actual title?
So I work at City Hall here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I work out of the Office of Community Development, where I serve the city as the Park Open Space and Natural Resource Program Manager. So I have the distinct honor of having the longest title in City Hall. It actually spans 2 lines on a business card.
Have you made an acronym out of that?
I just refer to myself as the Parks Guy.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
The position is pretty encompassing, though.
Yeah. That's pretty great. So you do a lot of work around water, access to it, parks work.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of stuff going on in the world of bringing people back to the water, or bringing people to already existing water, and what kind of stuff are you doing? Like, what's the actual physical reality of
Yes, so here in the Berkshires and in Pittsfield specifically, we are very water rich. We're at the top of the Housatonic watershed, and sort of in a low-lying valley where we have of course the major Housatonic River, which is nearly the headwaters, are just in the next town north of us in Dalton. But there are creeks and streams and rivers and wetlands all across our city, and we have public access, open spaces all across our city as well. So we invariably, with all of our park projects and all of our holdings in the city, We try to make connections between whether it's upland forests or wetland areas or rivers. We're trying to connect folks with an experience within these public spaces, and we think that just really enriches the opportunities and the enjoyment for folks when they're in these spaces. So we've spent a lot of time and effort not only planning but executing projects which reconnect folks with specifically with water resources.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference. So you're kind of our blue spaces, even though that's kind of a newer term, blue spaces aficionado.
Yeah.
And green as well.
Yeah, and connecting folks. I think there is a natural desire within people to connect to water. And I think for a long time, and I know in Pittsfield, we sort of had turned our back on some of our really important water resources in this city. The west branch of the Housatonic River, or the main stem of the Housatonic. Whereas in the past there was a lot of enjoyment and focus on our rivers. Over time, we sort of lost that. And, we're trying to get back to that.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like which comes first, the chicken or the egg, because there is some justification to turn away from the river.
Yeah,
nothing wrong.
And certainly in Pittsfield, we know the history in Pittsfield.
And so the game around that is like almost like if you build it, they will come. And it's not like you have to build the river. But it's almost like giving people access. Simple to say, if folks are familiar with the Charles River in Boston, they have an extraordinary amount of access to that river. And you feel good after jogging on it, walking your dog. You might have access to, you might be having issues. Who doesn't have issues with, there's bills to be paid, or what am I going to do about this job, or you're trying to seek a new direction in your life. But in the meantime, instead of doom scrolling on your phone, if you take a 10-minute walk by anywhere, any water, you are more likely to come up with some ideas.
Yeah, and I think it really enriches people's lives, and that's why I love being in the Parks Department, because parks are where folks make memories, where families make memories, and so we're trying to work on projects which really create a sense of enjoyment and fulfillment for folks when they're in our public spaces. We just recently finished a project in Pittsfield where we rehabilitated an old pond, and not only did we dredge the pond and remove a lot of the nasty contaminated sediments, but we created a boardwalk over the top of the pond which connects one side to the other, and it's all accessible with handicap accessible pathways. And it was a very simple and low cost project, which I think is going to just have huge dividends for folks in that neighborhood as they sort of reconnect back into.
Where is that in when it comes to Pittsfield? What part of Pittsfield is?
So that's right at Springside Park. It's Springside Pond at Springside Park, right on Springside Avenue. And
Makes sense.
it was, this was a pond which for years was a wading pool, and where you could catch frogs, and it was just a really vibrant part of the neighborhood. Over time, the dam had been breached, and the pond wasn't holding water. It got filled in with cattails, and we found some money to restore the pond, and have really sort of celebrated this project. And I just can't wait for the springtime to come around and watch folks flock back to this portion of the park where they had turned their backs because in the summertime it smelled. The pond, I said, it wasn't holding water, and that the muck was just, it was foul smelling and wasn't good to look at. It was a detriment in that portion of the park. So we're trying to find sort of low-cost, high-impact ways to get people into our parks and reconnecting with recreational opportunities, or that simple, quiet enjoyment that parks and our river resources afford.
Yeah, thank you, James. For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to And So It Flows. your only show for H2O. I'm your Super Waterman, ambassador for water. If you love the songs that we play on this show, check out our Spotify playlist of water songs by the same name, And So It Flows, giving water some cultural relevance in our world, because who knows if you connect people with their favorite artist who's doing a song that has something to do with beer or tears or rivers or boats or whales or Titanic. You have an opportunity to connect with water once again. And James, thanks again for being here. You are, again, like the head of the Parks Department, I would say, here in the city of Pittsfield, one of the places that has one of the longer water-related legacies in our country. And really, we're this show itself, we're out to cause some leadership in the intentional water media so we can start to focus again. Like, I look at the last 4 years of like, okay, we're on Occam's razor. Like, we're on the edge here. This is a crisis point. Crisis isn't bad. It's an opportunity to go very much this way or that. And personally, if we're on Occam's razor, I like the side that has the water on it. So again, thanks for being here. What other projects are you looking at? And what, okay, if we ask about the Springside Park renovation there, how much did that run? Like, how much are you looking at?
So that was a $650,000 project, and we had the great fortune of using the ARPA, or American Rescue Plan, funding for that. So that was the COVID infrastructure monies that were made available to communities to work on infrastructure projects. So that was fully funded by ARPA. And again, I think that's exactly the type of investment that those federal funds were designed to help communities with. Infrastructure needs that had a direct relation to neighborhoods. And again, this was a project which at Springside Pond, which wasn't only an ecological restoration project and looking at stormwater cleansing, which it does all of that, but it's really about connecting people with this resource, which is within the park, and stabilizing the neighborhood.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Another quick question is: are there any other parks that you're looking at right now, or any other bodies of water that you're looking to bring people back to that are in the works or about to be in the works?
Yeah, so in my capacity as the park director for the city, I also am the natural resource manager. So I am the management control of the lakes within the city, and I work on the river cleanup, the Housatonic River cleanup. Of course, that's the PCB polluted river with the toxic GE legacy. So we spent a lot of time managing Onota Lake, which is a very significant, nearly 650-acre lake right in the center of the city. It's a really important recreational resource, but it's challenged with not only invasive weeds, but now we've got potential zebra mussel infestation. Cyanobacteria blooms are happening at least once a year at this water body. So we're trying to manage these realities of they're just growth. Cyanobacteria is a result of development and climate change, and zebra mussels, of course, are transported from primarily from recreational boating. So we're really trying to help the community understand that they all play a role when it comes to combating and preventing zebra mussels, and because this is such an important recreational water
it is.
body
like the
us.
Cyanobacteria, does that come from septic leaching? Like a leachate issue?
Yeah, and this is that's you're correct, but at this particular water body, the entirety of the homes around the lake are on the sewer system. So we're not really worried about leaching of and that causing the cyanobacteria problems. So every water body has some small degree of cyanobacteria, but what we're finding is that the cyanobacteria is mobilizing and sort of popping up to the surface because of the climatic conditions. We're seeing hotter summers, hotter days, less rain. So we're seeing this sort of perfect trifecta of conditions which come together, which make this cyanobacteria pop up. And not all cyanobacteria is bad. It might look bad, but it's not all toxic. There's multiple varieties.
Yeah,
of
as long as it
cyanobacteria.
does's cause the emptying of oxygen.
It's still ugly. We still don't want folks swimming in it. It still can, can be lethal to pets. But cyanobacteria is a reality not only here in Pittsfield, but in many water bodies across the Northeast and across the country. And a lot of this is really based in the changes that we're seeing in the climate. But we're really trying to help folks understand that there are connections to what they do in their daily life and state and national policy. It all sort of, we see the ramifications of some of our missteps, in something as simple as the water quality of Onota Lake. So we're trying to really make these connections, help folks understand how they can play a role in their own lives, and at the same time providing strong leadership out of City Hall when it comes to these issues of open space protection and water resource protection as well.
Another question for you. There's a lot of water that flows through the city, some of it near businesses large and small. Do you have a way of speaking with business individually and or in associations, like let's say business improvement districts, if there are such a thing here, or any kind of association like downtown Pittsfield or other associations dedicated to revitalization, where you can actually get access? Like not too far from us here, we have an area, what is it called, the Crossings, which is a mall, strip mall-ish kind of setup, large enough, and they have access to water. Do you ever have access to speaking with those folks and say, hey, we have a thought, can we do anything here?
Yeah, so that area that you're speaking of, and there's a national retailer, right, a couple of them associated with that plaza area and off the parking lots there. We have had occasion to have conversations with those folks over the years because we notice that there are stormwater issues emanating from those parking lots, and there's often a lot of debris and trash. They're not doing a lot of policing of trash and other debris in their lots. It often ends up in the river, so that's been called to our attention multiple times over the years, and so we do have a relationship with those businesses. But often if there's not something lawful that we can sort of hang our hat on to go in and say, hey, you've got to correct this, it just becomes something that we hope the business owner would be motivated to correct. But there are others in the city, some local nonprofits, and I'll call out the Berkshire Environmental Action Team, which is not afraid to say, hey, on a Saturday morning, we're all meeting at the Home Depot parking lot, and we're gonna clean up this stretch of river alongside their business. And Beat may or may not have called the Home Depot folks and said we're coming, but these are the types of folks that they are. They'll just show up and take care of issues, and they understand the importance of clean waterways. And
well, it's not just actual clean waterways, but it's also about perhaps there's a way to allow people to walk their dog, or have a boardwalk or some kind of way to include that in their
there's a lot of these spaces across the city, and we do a lot of planning out of my office, the community development office, so we've got a great understanding of the city and how parcels relate to water bodies and other recreational opportunities. So we often are thinking, and one of the things that we've been doing over the years is developing this rail trail. How do we figure out how to get folks on the rail trail, and where does it go next?
And that's the Ashuwillticook.
Yeah, that's the Ashuwillticook Rail Trail, which traverses through the county. But I think where we see opportunities to partner with local businesses and other organizations and entities around making recreation improvements or access improvements, we're not afraid to pick up the phone and start those conversations. But often it's often easier to create access in those known areas where we control. And we have a lot of park land, a lot of open space and public land here in this city. And there's no shortage of opportunities to sort of work, for the next 20 or 30 years to really create this vibrant open space and system that we've sort of have a goal toward.
That sounds, for those of you just tuning in, we're having this great conversation with James McGrath. He is head of the Parks and Community Development. I'm not exactly sure. It's a long title. Yeah. It's a long title.
And it's the
Parks Guy. The Parks Guy. You had mentioned a word before, a rail trail. I just want to make sure our listeners who may not be from the area, then how to say it. Ashuwillticook. Ashuwillticook. Say it 3 times. Ashuwillticook. It's kind of like Beetlejuice, but at the same time, where is that name from?
I think it's derived from a Stockbridge Munsee Indian derivative, I believe. Of course, the Stockbridge tribe was very prevalent here in the Berkshires, and there are a lot of names across our city, geographically and otherwise, which harken back and have their origins in the Native Americans' presence here.
Yeah.
Pontusuck Lake, Onota Lake, those are derived from those early native languages.
Yeah, the folks who were indigenous here at that time. Yeah. Yep. A thought on that trail. Where does it start and where does it currently end? Do you know that?
Yeah, sure. So the Ashuwillticook Trail, it currently, the southerly beginning is in Pittsfield, right at Merrill Road, and it travels northerly all the way through Pittsfield to Cheshire, or through Lanesborough, Cheshire, into Adams, into North Adams as well. And they're currently trying to make connections to Williamstown. So
wow,
I think you can travel all the way up to North Adams, which is half the county. It's a fair stretch.
Yeah, what's that, like almost 20 miles?
I think it is. 20. I think it's about 20 miles.
That's pretty great. Great to get you can access water, you could take your bike, you could run, you could jog.
It's a great resource, and it's not only for all of that, but it's really also a transportation alternative, because there are a lot of folks that are traveling from the north, the towns north of Pittsfield into the Pittsfield, which is of course the largest city in the Berkshires, the municipal, retail, medical center of our county. So there is a reason for getting folks out of their cars and onto their bicycles, but we need to do that in a way that keeps people safe.
Okay, that's pretty great. Just for those of you just tuning in, we are getting ready to complete interview with James McGrath, the Parks Guy from Pittsfield, Mass, right here in the heart of the Berkshires, the town that's right on the Housatonic, as well as other towns. And you're listening to And So It Flows, your only show for H2O here at Pittsfield Community Radio, 89.7 WTBR-FM Pittsfield and 88.1 WSBR in Lee. Very excited to be here. So we got a couple of minutes left. A couple of questions. Given that not everybody lives here, and then we're going around the world, and there might be other folks who are interested in perhaps doing similar things to what you're up to. What would you suggest if you're a citizen to make a difference with your local parks department to bring back waterways, or how, like, what thoughts do you have for them, like what they could do?
I love when folks just pick up the phone and call and start a conversation about what we're doing and about what they'd like to see happen in their neighborhood or in their city. A lot of times we take on projects that we never would have thought about or would have conceived if not for the resident calling and saying, hey, I really think that this this tree in this particular location needs to be pruned, and how about we plant, these are the types of small things that are impactful, and that often municipalities will respond and react to. So I would say pick up the phone, call your city hall, call those offices that you where you have an interest in making a difference and starting that conversation. Often there's a lot of planning that is happening in these places, and maybe you get involved with a planning project. Maybe there's a way for citizens to provide input, or maybe there's a committee that you could get on. Maybe it's a conservation commission or some other environmental body within the community that's looking for volunteers. So, start with the leadership in your community. That's where you can make the most difference. It really makes a lot of sense for folks to be invested in right where they live. We talk a lot about national politics, and often it feels like, what can I do? I'm just one guy in this small town. Well, you know what? You're one person in a small town, but sort of work in your backyard to make a difference. And I think that is really where folks can find satisfaction and, a lot of purpose in their life. So pick up the phone.
Makes a huge difference. And again, if folks are in this town or nearby and they want to participate, how do they contact you?
They can pick up the phone. They can find me at City Hall. You could just always call City Hall, ask for the Parks Department, do a Google search, Pittsfield Parks. You will find our number. I'm easily accessible, and I'd love to talk about the work we do and the opportunities that are available to us here in Pittsfield. I love when folks are engaged and active and want to be involved. That really makes our day, makes it feel like we're not doing this alone, and it's gratifying to know that we are trying to make a difference, and folks are recognizing that. And, that's why we get up and go to work every day.
So really great. So thanks again for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. This was really fantastic. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you so much. You've been listening to James McGrath, Parks Guy here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, in the heart of Berkshire County, in the heart of the Berkshire Mountains, the Center for Water Culture around the world. Here on And So It Flows, I'm your super waterman, ambassador for water. You are the water leaders that we have been waiting for. So you're going to listen to another tune here, and this is As the Crow Flies by one of my good buddies, Steve Adams, and the Tangled Party. And this is turned into somewhat of a local legendary song about what happened in the past here. So, again, As the Crow Flies, Steve Adams.
As the crow flies, we ain't so far apart. What happened in your town was corporate from the start, in a long history of post-industrial misery. Now they're burying the bodies of its recent history. As the crow flies, so does the wind blow, as random as a rainbow, blowing past a place called Moe's. Dust falling into your window and down your dress, resting in the flesh. It's a short distance as the crow flies, a straight line from your borrowed time, from the despoiled river to the dump, from the shacks across the tracks to where the uptown park their Cadillacs. As the crow flies slowly over the stink, and everything is closer closer than you think. A toxic dump makes the world get small when our air and water gets ruined for us all. As the crow flies, tell me who will be affected by chemicals that can be vaporized and ingested. To think you're safe, you might have to be corrected. We all know now that everything is connected. It's a short distance as the crow flies, a straight line from your borrowed time, from the despoiled river to the toxic dump, from the shacks across the tracks to where the uptown park their Cadillacs. As the crow flies, as the crow flies, as the crow flies, he sees it all. As the crow flies, as the crow flies, as the crow flies. Would you ever hear his warning call? As the crow flies, as the crow flies, as the crow flies, as the crow flies.
Sparkling water, lemon, osmosis, carbonated, filtered, distilled. See, we in trouble. Water, In the abundance of water, the fool will get thirsty.